Okay. Yeah. Wow. I actually thought it would be my family and C.R. Williams here tonight. I guess everyone thought I was picking up the tab for tonight. How wrong you were. I first would like to welcome all of you to my retirement dinner. I especially would like to welcome the following, and if they would please rise, past presidents of Indian Hills: Tim Timko, Jack Miller, Bob Rumberger, Diane Lebrecki, Andy Sladisco, Joe Gubernat, and current President J.R. Lebrecki. Thank you for your service to Indian Hills. Also in attendance is incoming President Dave Hughes. Dave, my only regret, not really, but is that I didn't get to serve under your regime. I would also like to recognize, I think they left, but my good friend and ex-chef at Indian Hills, the boss of the hot sauce, and the queen of sausage soup, Joni Catazone. One person that I think we need to take a moment of silence for and to say a prayer is for our past president, Gary Fitzpatrick, who is in Allentown right now, fighting the results of a car accident. So if you just take a moment of silence to pray for Gary, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Also making a rare appearance to the coal region today is my brother Brad Spieler and his wife Cindy, and my sister Barb, and her husband, the Honorable Judge Eric Spivak. This is probably the largest contingent of Jewish people at the club at one time for a very long time. And last but not least, my kids Josh and his lovely fiance Elaine Genaria, and Sammy. I said I wasn't going to do this. And the love of my life, my wife Rose. I have to be honest, I've been thinking about this night for the past 2 years. And what I was going to say if I had the opportunity. I planned so many speeches when I sat down on Thursday to put my thoughts on paper, but I had no idea which direction I should go. How do you sum up 35 years representing Indian Hills as your PGA golf professional? How do you reflect upon a job that when I got it in 1983 would change my life forever? I was laying in bed in a house on Martin Avenue in Ardmore, Pennsylvania in 1983 when the phone rang. It was a deep voice that said, "Don, we would like you to be our next head golf professional, and the first since they changed the name from Shamokin Valley to Indian Hills. The salary is $5,000 a year, and you have the pro shop, etc., etc." That voice belonged to John Barr. I said to him, "That's great, Mr. Barr, but coming from the Philadelphia Cricket Club, I was expecting a larger salary." He said, "That's what it is," and he said he'd see me soon. End of conversation, he hung up the phone. So I showed up, and the rest is history. I can thank Gene Troutman for ultimately hiring me. As a matter of fact, 2 of the selection committee members are here tonight, Jack Miller and James Flanagan. So you can either thank them or curse them, whichever way you wish to go. So I drove to Paxinas, a 24-year-old, curly-headed, 124-pound, cocky kid from the big city, ready to show the world what I could do to make Indian Hills a great club. We at the time had 160 members in private carts. I was living in the clubhouse apartment upstairs. No need to say anything more about that situation. In order to keep my marriage sane. My first years, we tried to make improvements to the club and solicit new members while revamping the tournament schedule and changing the invitational. We had to fight the stigma that Indian Hills was a snooty private club and only the wealthy could play there. I tried to make everyone who came through those doors feel welcome, and slowly over the years, we built the membership up to 400. We hired some qualified superintendents and spent money on the golf course. Things were good, and in my personal life, I met Rowie Eschmont. She was a social member. She saw in the newspaper that Indian Hills had hired a new golf professional and saw my pic. She set her sights very high and said, "That's the guy I'm going to marry." After 31 years of marriage later, I married up for sure, and I'm the luckiest guy in the world to have her. Through all my trips with the guys to Myrtle Beach, to Ireland, to Florida, Atlantic City with the guys and my ladies, she never once said no to me going. She realized that weekends and holidays for the past 35 years were work days, and that's the life of a club professional's wife. And she blessed me with 2 beautiful kids. After we had Josh, we had some rough times with carrying a second child. I can remember how strong Rowie was during those times. She was and will always be my hero for getting through that. But lo and behold, God thought, "I will give you both something that you can cherish," and out popped Sammy. As the kids grew older, we felt it important that the kids both worked at Indian Hills. They each worked in the bag room and in the pro shop. They learned how to cater to people, how to respect the membership, just like I did. Josh had a difficult time coming to work, as he mentioned before, on time. He was always late, and I was always bitching to the members that he was late, but I never fired him. Sammy, on the other hand, had one thing and one thing only on her mind, and that was tips. She would go to the members and guest cars and remove their clubs for them and put them on her cart and take them back to the staging area. But she would just stand there next to you until you gave her a tip. C.R. Williams, known to be a great tipper, made a deal with her. He told her that rather than tip her daily, he would tip her once a month and give her $100. She said she liked that idea. Took the $100, then he never saw her again until the first of the next month. That pay schedule obviously did not last too long. But the membership of Indian Hills has always been involved in what my kids and my family was doing. You always cared about the sports my kids played in school, how Josh was doing in his golf tournaments, and how Sammy was involved in all kinds of school projects. I was so fortunate to be able to work and be able to attend so many of their school athletic events. I can say that while working a lot of hours, not one board of directors ever stopped me from being a dad and being there for my kids and my wife. A few years ago, when my family went through a rough stretch for us, with Sammy having to have brain surgery while in college, the membership could not have been more caring. We received hundreds of cards and emails concerned about Sammy and Josh and Rowie and I. It was an overwhelming feeling that my members would reach out to us in that way. I especially want to publicly thank Dr. Sudhir Khanna for his care and advice during that time. Not sure things would have worked out the way they did without his help. When my dad passed away, the members were there for my family again. As you know, I tend to groan about the coal region, not being the big city. But the people make the area. At Indian Hills from day one made me feel like a celebrity in the area. It took me under its wing, and I became a part of each and every one of you, your families over the past 35 years. Indian Hills has a lot of families and have grown over the years. Members, when I got here in 1983, have had kids. Their kids have had kids. One family in particular, whose grandfather was a member here, their dad and mom, now the kids and their kids have had kids. I watched the kids grow up from little kids running around and having me babysit them J.R. and Ryan Lebrecki, when their parents were playing golf. Now they sign my paychecks. That is, when I get them. That's when you know it's time to retire. I cannot go anywhere in the area without someone saying, "Aren't you the pro at Indian Hills?" And up to this minute, I have always been proud to say, yes, I am. I will always be eternally grateful for having a membership that to this day understood that being there for my family was very important to me. Since 1983, we as a club have come a long way in promoting the game of golf and encouraging new members to join our family at Indian Hills. The membership covers all age groups and economic categories. We have rebuilt the ladies' 9-holers group, and with the Get Golf Ready Chip and Sip, we have grown our numbers of ladies who are taking up the game. The Invitational has become the premier sold-out event within 50 miles and still commands a waiting list to enter this prestigious event. The Fall Festival attracts approximately 100 players each year as well. Through our juniors, many of whom are Indian Hills members, have made us proud in winning the high school district team championship this year. Since I arrived, Indian Hills has donated the use of the club to the high school golf teams free of charge. I hope that that tradition will continue. I would be remiss if I did not thank all the people that have worked for me over the past years. I cannot do it all myself. I want to ask Brian McKee and Tyler Thompson to stand at this time and receive a round of applause. I thank you both of you for your dedication not only to me, but to the members of Indian Hills. These guys do not make a lot of money and take a lot of abuse from time to time. If you could in the future remember they work for gratuities as well, that would be terrific. We also instituted over the past 3 years a busy concert schedule. We had a successful 3 years and 8 concerts were held that were open to the public. I hope that this continues as well. So in closing, I want to thank all the past and current members for allowing me to represent Indian Hills as your head golf professional. As I stated 15 years ago at my 20th anniversary dinner, I knew at age 13 that I wanted to grow up and become a PGA golf club professional. All I did was eat, think, and breathe golf from that age on. I bypassed college and turned pro at the age of 18 with the hope of someday fulfilling my real dream in life. Indian Hills granted me that dream, and I only hope that I lived up to the standards that make you proud to say that Don Spiller was and is your golf professional. I tried to be fair and impartial and to represent Indian Hills on and off the course as in a respectful, responsible manner. I tried to make you enjoy the experience every time you set foot on the property. To my ladies, commonly known as Donnie's dolls, we had some great times, great trips. No one has better ladies than ours. Even though our numbers are small, you have always supported me, and for that I am grateful. Over the past 35 years, we've had financial problems, as you are all aware of. The golf business is in a state of turmoil, with clubs being sold and clubs closing. You all have access to a great club with a fantastic conditioned golf course, no tee times, rounds of golf under 4 hours, and a very reasonably priced due structure. It is up to all of you in this room to support it in any way that you can, financially, as well as letting others know what we have to offer. Indian Hills has employed a PGA golf professional since 1923, and I hope and pray that the next board follows that tradition. Same goes for a superintendent. People come to Indian Hills for the golf course, and it has to remain in the condition that it has been accustomed. So much for politics. I hope my point is driven home. Last and not least, I want to thank my mom, who could not be here tonight, for introducing me to this great game of golf. My mom and my dad provided me with not one, but 2 clubs to play golf as I grew up. My only regret was that I did not get to see them and my brother and my sister as much as I wanted, but they always knew that I was happy fulfilling my dreams at Indian Hills. Indian Hills will be there long after I'm gone, but I can always say that I was a small part of Indian Hills, but Indian Hills was and is a big part of me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for allowing me to be your head golf professional for the last 35 years. Thank you.